Yes, they found themselves in there. And when our cadres heard Kwasigan's voice, that the proper revolutionary forces have taken over and that the GBC has been recaptured, they all came out. And then the rumor was that they were in Sukura. And cadres, unarmed, went after these soldiers who were armed. That is what we are celebrating here today. To be imbued with the revelation to the extent that unarmed cadres can go after those who were actually carrying arms. And as you were told, one of them was actually disarmed by an unarmed cadre, a Farikuta. Then the cadres ran on them in Sukura. They managed to shoot a Farikuta. He died. I think Comrade Adika also was injured. And because they had guns, they were shooting into the air and managed to escape from Ghana. They actually went across the border to Cote d'Ivoire. Later on, a few of them were brought back. And I don't exactly know where they are now. But that's the word. That's the word. I hear they were neutralized. Those of us who were trained before, you remember, you understand neutralized. That is what happened. Later on, Rollins himself went and landed in GBC. And I remember Joyce I very well. She was the information secretary. Those days we don't have ministers. And then they went and landed in GBC and the televisions. That time there was only one television station, GBC. If you don't see that one, then you haven't seen television. And at that time, I think it was still black and white, because the color came about 2 years later. But the courage and determination of cadres, these were cadres of old. Can we have any such courage and determination among ourselves now? People, the money has taken over. You are looking back to find out, am I going to die, leaving my children behind? So we have declared this day just to recognize, like the first speaker said, caderhood, or is it cadership? The commitment to a cause, the determination to defend the cause we believe in. And our cause now is what? NDC. This is important. This month, we have already celebrated June 4, which was the beginning of it all. Then we have just done June 10. That was when we had our interim certificate as NDC. Today, we are doing June 19, recognition of cadrehood. And like Shine said 2-3 days ago, cadres should not be defined by age. We should not say that if you are cadre, then you must be about 50 years, 65. So they are bringing out what we call young cadres, youth that will teach them, let them know the history of Ghana, the history of NDC, the history of our party, the constitution of our party, so that one day, if anybody comes up against the party, whether armed or unarmed, we should also be able to get up like the cadres of old and stand against them. That is what we are celebrating. You are welcome.
Thank you, Comrade Kofiato. Please, let's do it better. Cadres! Cadres! The story is just beginning. And before I call the next speaker, in fact, we'll be calling a few of those who were actually in action on that day to share their experiences with us. So before I call the next speaker, with your permission, I would introduce Chief Inspector Richard Chikata. He was also strongly in action on that day. From the police, he went and served in the 64 Battalion, and he was all round. We also have in our midst Comrade Emmanuel Kofi Ahiafo. He's also a Chief Inspector retired. They all saw action on that day. I've already introduced the chairman of the PDCs for that area, Sukura. So, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, with your permission, may I call upon Comrade Godwin Banini. Comrade Banini was working with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC. And in fact, he was on duty on that day. And it is on record that he stayed on duty because of this for about 36 hours or 3 days. Yes, he was on duty for 3 days. He didn't go home, all in the course of the revolution. So, Comrade Gordon Banini, please share your experiences with us.
Caders, caders, Aluta, Aluta. Before I say something, I want to sing a song. Aklerogo kama tuoria nago, naumia katuerogo kama yeina dam polo roga. Aklerogo kama sobono biona sodomi enwejoro yeina dam polo roga. Aklerogo kama tuoria nago, naumia katuerogo kama yeina dam polo roga. Aklero bukama sogonu biona zodo nyeye nyeye na da olo kwaga ago I'm standing on the 17th of June 1983 about 4:30 p.m., we were closing to go to our various homes. Then we have 3 gates to broadcasting. Gate 1 is for the public and the staff. Gate 2 for the staff alone. Gate 3 also for the staff. Then we saw something strange. At gate 3, at gate 3, they dismantled the armored cars, and they were doing maintenance. So we smelled a rat. We the WTC. We smelled a rat. So some of us stayed on and did the necessary action by informing those who matter that we saw something strange. We stayed over for the night. We had a 0 room there, so we slept there. We, the WDC members, some of us. Saturday passed, nothing happened. But we were late. We, the WDC members, were late. Then Sunday morning, about 6:30 to 7, gate 3 is nearer to Plaza House. So we saw some people in clothes entering from that end, which is for the staff alone. The information was that they were coming to record the church service. Not knowing they put their arms in their clothes. So they went to that time we have a GBC 2. That's why we did our recordings. And then they made the announcement, and it was recorded. So when around 6:30 to 10:30, 11:20, we saw some action. Before that, when they did the recording, really we have to be playing martial music, but we are playing interceding with highlight music. Fortunately for those outside, the late Kochiga, he did his national service in broadcasting, so he knows the geography of the place. Level 20, we saw some actions at the gate, the reception, as you say. There was the battlefield. Those who were to go, they went. And then he entered the room, the house. He was well chested. And the song he was singing, Amototu wena baoke, Amototu wena baoke, Amon Piama Chapolo, Arogo Domilioke, Amon go to go. About the Burmese. And he sang that song to enter. There were about 20 personnel following him, and he went to GBC too. That time, the Geo and others left, and the recording was there. So when he came to GBC too, they didn't know whether the troops were inside. So they shot, the first shot was, it was a glass door. They shot the glass door and broke through it. They made an oval space, and they entered it. And when you saw us over there, they said, what? Like you killed innocent people. They thought the soldiers or the dissidents were there. So they captured the place and they made a necessary announcement. Then they sealed the place. Nobody else was to enter. Those who were within, those were the people they knew. That time, the late General Anokwenu was there. We were discussing some issues, then all of a sudden, we saw a helicopter up there. By the time I realized, he jumped through a gutter. Me, I couldn't do that, so I walked to the place, and here was our founder, J.J. Rollins, landing, fully armed. The whole body was full of pistol and all that. So after the briefing, he took off again, and we remained there. That time, the commander of broadcasting was Captain Koblan Agakwe. He was the signal man there. So they did that military connections, and then we were there. Then 6 o'clock. Before that, Josai came, yes, the secretary, the commissioner for secretary. She came with her car. So it was the car, the soldier seat, that is Koshigan's troops. We see the car, went for around Labadi Villas to get support. And that time it was about 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Everybody was tuned to the TV, watching the proceedings in broadcasting. And they were ready, according to them, said, if they will be in a pants to defend the revolution, they will do that. They were all officers. Senior officers were there. So after 8 o'clock, 9, one of us, the wife was pregnant. And she wanted to go there to see the wife. And we were on the police car going. When we reached Nima, the police station, the soldiers were there, but they were the allied forces. They halted us, but we didn't hear. The sound was very faint, so I heard it and said, they said we should stop. Hey, they came and surrounded the police car. And when they did the pass wide, we went, we continued. When we reached center, it was terrible. The whole place like a battlefield. And we passed with the pass wide, and we went to Dasma. When we went to Dasma, on the way, that time there was a curfew. Somebody was going to the girlfriend or whatever. The person ran away and left the woman, and we had to put her on the police car and send her to her house. So when we came back, we went to Major Koshigan's wife's place. Because he didn't hear from him again. She was thinking that they had killed her. They killed him, sorry. So we already heard that Major Kosiga was live. Only you cannot come back. He prepared, that time she prepared some palm soup plus bamboo. So we took it from there, brought it to broadcasting house, and ate together. Before then, when they did a roll call, here was Cassidy. I saw Cassidy to around at that time. So in brief, that was what happened on June 19th, as I saw. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Godwin Banini. This is a story from the horse's own mouth. He was there, feeling. So, comrades, ladies and gentlemen, the story continues. So, on this note, I call upon Comrade Chief Inspector Ahiafo to also give his version of the story. To boy, hey, boy, hey, boy,
All comrades around. I stand here as a survivor, but not a hero. I'm saying that I'm standing here as a survivor, but not a hero. I think Comrade Ato has said a lot about the incident that happened at Sukura. I was a constable by then, so I joined the CDR, Committee for the Defense of the Revolution. I was their coordinator for that region, or that area. What happened was that we were doing this people shop. You know, at that time, caders were doing people shop, people's farm. We listened to J.J. Rollins. He gave us the power. That early morning, we went to Tema, and on our way back, we heard that Rollins had been overthrown, as controlled by Kofi Addo. So we wanted to see off Paul Adika to his house. We then went with the chairman of Recruiter. We saw a car parked down. Only 2 people were there. The rest were hiding inside one of the rooms near Supra. If you know Supra, the bus stop on your right, there's a fetish priest over there. So Tekpo, Jangu, Amadeka, Jua, and all those people, they went and hid there because they were crushed. They were at America was at the Sound prison. So they were able to go and release America at the Sound prison. They were crushed and they came to hide at the Supra Shrine there. Unknowingly for us, Paul knows at Tekpo. So Paul was challenging him, Tekpo, why do you come here? Why do you come here? Paul was able to retrieve one gun from the car. He didn't know how to shoot. Before you can hear, there's a gunshot. After Peter was lying down. Paul, who took the rifle, couldn't fire. Luckily for me, I was having a pistol, so I also started with them. Fired the ball and 2 others. Then I don't know what happened. I was able to plant the wall to Russia barracks. Then I drove to. There was a curfew at 6 o'clock, but I have the permit, so I went to striking for my unit, and soldiers came, policemen came. We went to Supra back. After Peter was dead, taken to Kolibu. Paul Adika was taken to the police hospital. After Peter, that's after Peter. He was the chairman for the unit. So because of this, cadets doesn't know how to shoot. If Paul knew how to shoot, or I was able to even grab the rifle, I would have done something. Because of that, that led us for people's militia, so that cadets should know how to battle any enemy, because the revolution was so hard that there were so many attempts on Lawrence. So he wanted the people to be armed or to defend themselves so that nothing can happen to us again. Luckily, CDR came into existence, the PDCs also came to existence. The CDO, Committee for the Defense of the CDOs to work out. After People Militia, there was this CDO. So caders, through us, because of what we did that day, on 19th June, our men or our brothers and sisters were able to confront them. And the power belongs to we the people. If we people don't allow ourselves to know how the country goes, we will be doomed forever and ever. So if I'm alive today, I'm challenging our general secretary. If I didn't die at that time, he should give me work to do. Because at that time, my first daughter was only 2 months old. 2 months old at that time. If I should have died, I wouldn't have got another daughter and another son. So, caders, I thank you for my life. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Aluta. Aluta. Comrades, the story continues. So, on this note, may I humbly invite Brigadier General Daniel Mushu, a former commander of the 64th Battalion, who was also in action on that day, to also give us another aspect of the story. These are all, live survivors who saw the action, fili. So, General Mushu.
Hey! Thank you very much. I'm coming on the heels of survivors. And it was very interesting when somebody said, I think when you look back to that date, I don't know how many people were born at that time. But I'm going to talk mostly about those who were there and a few things for us for the future. Comrades, seniors and juniors, our caders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today we gather not merely to recall a date in our history, but to reaffirm a duty, a solemn obligation to honor the gallant men and women who stood firm in the face of betrayal and chaos. June 19, 1983 marks more than an attempted coup d'etat. It is a line forever drawn in the sands of our revolutionary struggle. On that day, the enemies of the people, led by Corporal Carlos Halidu Jiwa and Sergeant Abdul Malik, the names that we were to mention, sought to roll back the hard-won gains of the June 4th uprising and the principles it enshrined, and that is probity, accountability, justice, and self-service. But the people would not be silenced. The revolution would not be reversed. The Ghana Armed Forces, alongside the United Cadres Front, born in the crucible of the revolution, rose with clarity, courage, and conviction. They knew that the blood of 23rd, 1982, succeeded in capturing for a while part of Gonda Barracks, where I commanded, Burma Camp, in an attempt to overthrow the PNDC regime. When the situation was returned to normal, several arrests were made, and this has been well recounted. And the suspects were put on trial, but some Cooperativa managed to escape from prison on June 19, 1983, and took part in that attempted coup d'etat together with Sergeant Abdul Malik. There are other names that we don't intend to elaborate on, but the history is there for us all to know. It is noteworthy that the coup came very close to overthrowing the ruling PNDC, but for the prompt intervention of some gallant men and women and cadres, as has already been recounted, so I won't go back to that. Let us never forget the price we paid on that day. Let us remember those who stood between freedom and anarchy, those who refused to trade their uniforms and their conscience for treachery. In their honor, we must continue the work of the revolution. And the revolution is not just about carrying guns and weapons, it's in the mind. We have to continue building institutions that are just, ensuring leadership that is accountable, and nurturing a citizenry that is empowered and patriotic. Comrades, ladies and gentlemen, United Cadre Front has come a very long way since 1983 and has gone through even more difficult challenges through the days of the PNDC, the first democratic government under President Jerry John Rawlings, and the second democratic government of the NDC under President John Evans Atta Mills, that was continued by President John Dramani Mahama after the painful demise of our late President Atta Mills. The UCF continued to remain relevant but played key roles in the activities of the NDC under the first term of President Mahama. Perhaps the most obvious changes, and if you look around, you will see, perhaps the most obvious changes seen in UCF are the aging members, majority of whom are battling with various ailments, and the dwindling numbers who are struggling to survive due to low sources of income. This has necessitated the urgent recruitment of young cadres nationwide. Nonetheless, the spirit of cadres has never been in doubt. This is why the theme, Resetting Ghana, Reflections of June 19, is appropriate. Going back to the theme, Resetting Ghana, Reflections on June 19th, the challenges of our current period reflect a different, but that need to be dealt with, and I'll explain very shortly. You will recall that the forward march of the revolution was truncated in January 2001 after the MPP under President Kufuor were voted into power during the December 2000 elections. The people returned the NDC to power in 2009 under President Mills, whose tragic demise led to President Mahama, then Vice President, taking over to complete the uncompleted term of President Mills, and subsequently won power on his own account to continue the good work of President Mills. Unfortunately, the NDC lost power again to the MPP under President Nana Akufo-Addo, who promised the moon to Ghanaians before winning power. Over the past 8 years, our beloved nation has experienced setbacks, hardships that threaten our very future. Corruption has sapped our resources. Illegal mining, commonly known as galamsey, has devastated our environment, polluting our rivers and destroying our lands. Incidents of indiscipline, lawlessness, and impunity have eroded the very fabric of our society, and we can all see it around us. Resetting Ghana would therefore require the resistance of all patriotic citizens against not just corruption and other negative behaviors, but against conforming to the status quo of the past 8 years. And that is very important. This is where the cadres, who have always played a crucial role in supporting governance with patriotic zeal, come in. On this occasion, therefore, we salute not only the gallant soldiers of June 19th, but also the cadres and patriotic citizens of Ghana who stood up on that day. Comrades, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we commemorate June 19th, let it not be an event of the past, but a call to vigilance and duty now and in the future. The struggle for justice and equity remains. Let us be very conscious that the enemies of the people have changed their tactics, but not their aims and objectives. It is up to us, the descendants of the revolution, to remain vigilant, steadfast, and principled. Fellow cadres, ladies and gentlemen, it is said that a nation that does not honor its heroes is not worth dying for. A lot of cadres have sacrificed their lives for the nation without any form of recognition. There are still some who are alive but virtually abandoned with nowhere to turn to. I will start passing it to our honorable chairman here. He's the senior general. So on this auspicious occasion, as we celebrate another anniversary of June 19th, I would like to make a passionate appeal to the leadership of the great NDC party and the presidency to look inside and all around and identify such cadres and living heroes and recognize their contributions before they pass away. At least they should enjoy some fruits of their labor before they die, especially now that our beloved party is in power. Long live our great nation Ghana, long live our great party NDC, long live the Ghana Armed Forces, long live the United Cadres Front, long live the ideals of the June 4th, and may we continue to honor the brave defenders of June 19th. Revolutionary greetings, all of us here. Thank you.
Revolution has a long way to go, but I stand to say, revolution has a long way to go, but I stand to say, cadets may come, cadets may go, but the revolution has come to stay. Revolution has a long way to go, but has come to stay. Cadets may come, cadets may come, cadets may go, but the revolution has come to stay. Revolution has a long way to go, but has come to stay. Come on!
Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are moving on. So, after hearing from those who were feeling in action on that day, we continue with others who were at the background. So now it's the turn of another comrade, senior comrade, who had also worked for the process from the beginning up to today. This is a comrade that I had always admired from afar. And so without wasting much time, it is my singular honor to invite Her Excellency, the Honorable Nketia Sena Dansua. She was a very active member of the 31st December movement. And when I was introducing her, I didn't read this. But it is important to let people know what others have gone through. And whilst being a member of the 31st December Women's Movement, I don't know how many people know, she was a very serious journalist that I always loved to read. Yes, with the Ghanaian Times. And she was always promoting the ideals of the revolution. These were the people who told the story as was needed before she was appointed to become a district secretary and subsequently a district chief executive. So with a round of applause, let's welcome Her Excellency Nketia Sena Dansua. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother. I think we'll leave the salutation, Excellency, behind, because I'm just a commoner like any of us here. Good afternoon, everybody. Chairman General, senior caders, junior caders, the media, colleague media people. I'm happy to be here this afternoon to share a few of my thoughts with all of us here. I want to start by remembering profoundly our late founder, President J.J. Rawlings, for giving me the opportunity to be a politician today. I also want to appreciate Nana Rawlings, whatever it is, for leading me and providing that leadership for some of us women to be able to stand in public today and speak, among others. When I was coming here this afternoon from the Reed Church, I went through JJ's house, and the place was so quiet. It was so quiet, and the trees were overgrown. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Senior colleagues, like I said, I have only a few thoughts to share. Somebody or a few speakers have alluded to the fact that cadres are the antecedents of the NDC we have today. And so we cannot do without them. We need to appreciate them, recognize them, and empower them to continue to live and empower the younger ones to carry on the mantle after them. Because to get to where we are today as a party has not been a joke at all. It took the sacrifice and the hard work of some of the colleagues we see today, some of who can barely walk, to get us to where we are today. So recognition and appreciation, Chairman General, is very important. I am happy that we are organizing this event to appreciate them, but I want to suggest that going forward, let's decentralize these activities to the districts, regions, so that people at the grassroots, in fact constituencies, people at the grassroots can also have a feel of what we have done and where we want to go. And because the cadre front lacks the resources to do that, I think the party should please find a way of sponsoring this. As I've already said, a lot of the senior people who sacrificed for us are very infirm now. Their families can barely look after them, their medication and stuff. So we want to plead that such comrades be identified in the various communities and supported monthly with some token, at least to be able to buy their medication. Because those of us who saw them in those days on their feet, going up and down, making all the sacrifice, when we see them today, I mean, it's something else. So please, let's not forget them in their old age. I also want to suggest that we do some mentoring. I think Brigadier General Show has alluded to that, and others also. Let us, the senior ones, identify willing young cadres and mentor them. I'm saying willing because you cannot compel or force somebody who is not ready to be mentored, especially the women. We are in leadership to serve as role models for you, the younger ones. So if you agree, some of us are ready to mentor you. If you agree, and by mentoring, I'm not saying that every day, please send me more. I will provide the guidance. I will teach you what to do. Even if it is not yourself, and you have daughters who you think should be mentored, we are ready. My sister is here. Sister Anita, she's here. And a few other ones. I saw some former MPs and former women organizers. We are ready to do it, provided the party supports us to do this kind of mentoring. I also want to suggest that some of our cadres, maybe because of age or maybe for one reason or the other, may not want to be employed in government offices. Such people should be identified and supported to grow their businesses. Hairdressers, hairdressers, seamstresses, masons, artisans, and what have you. It takes just a little support to take the burden off them and also off the party. Because if we don't help them, every time they see the seniors, they will come asking for help. So if you grow them, they will be independent and stand on their feet and look after their families. Finally, I want to say that this celebration should actually be an integral part of the party's program of activities yearly. Because like I said, the cadres are the antecedents of this party. Without them, we don't have NDC. So, Chairman General, on this note, I want to thank you for the opportunity and hope that some of these proposals that I've made will be taken very seriously by the party. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please, let's give her a round. Chogwei. 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 Are you enjoying the program? Yes. The struggle continues unabated. And we shall continue to struggle and struggle and struggle until there's no struggle. If even we are victorious, we will still struggle for the better. I would have loved that the program continues till daybreak. But because of the importance that the Chairman General attaches to this program, he has left everything to come. He was here in the morning, we were not ready, he went for the program, but he insisted that he wants to be here. That's why we had to wait and call him, and he came. So he has to go back to the program, and after that he is traveling. So we are compelled to abridge the program so as to make room for him to at least have his word with us. And then afterwards, if you want to continue jamming, we'll jam. So without much ado, with the permission of everybody, let's, with a rousing applause, receive the Chairman General, Honorable Johnson Aseidu Nketia, MP.
Please sit down, please sit down.
Like I told you before we started, Chairman General Aseidu Nketia is also a leader. He's a serious leader from the scratch. And he worked in the Sekwa area. So it is a revolution that brought him to the Consultative Assembly that drafted the constitution that has given us peace and progress in this country. And he has always been yearning that the caders story be told. So, Chairman General, welcome, and we are at your.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Comrades, I'd like to say how happy I always am when we have an occasion together as caders to remind ourselves what we have gone through and then to teach the younger ones the sacrifices that have been made to grow the process up to this stage. I am one person who believes in history because I believe that if you do not take lessons from your history, you are bound to repeat all the bad things that your forefathers have gone through. So there has been always debate as to why we should continue celebrating events related to the revolution. I have stood firm that it is because of the health of our democracy that we should continue to study what happened before the Fourth Republic so that we can avoid the potholes that can take us back. So I always appeal to both those who are against the revolution and those who are for the revolution. It is equally in your interest that events of the revolution be commemorated and remembered so that we learn lessons which will take us forward. I have my own experiences of the events of June 19th. And not even that alone. There was even a much more serious one in September. But we'll live to tell that story another day. Because that September, I was caught in the crossfire. At some point, I was asked to put my hands up to be shot. But I also survived. So I've listened to the stories by all the survivors and senior cadres. And my faith in the establishment of a party museum has been renewed. When you listen to the stories that we are hearing today, you realize that they need to be recorded as early as possible before the eyewitnesses pass on to glory. So that we can keep these recordings and continue learning lessons from them. That was why on June 4th, I made an announcement that we are going to try to build a party museum so that we can keep all the records of the party before the actual formation of the party from June 4th up to today. And that is one of the things that will help us to groom younger cadres. Because whatever we do will one day pass. So we have to pass these lessons to the younger ones. And as has been said earlier by earlier speakers, that the cadreship is not in age, it's not in who was where at a certain particular time. It is a spirit that needs to be nurtured. And that is why we are also passionate about our party school. There is always some rivalry about whether we should have young cadres different from the youth wing of the party and so on. I think that if we organize very well, we will realize that there shouldn't be any such argument at all. If our training is very effective, we can catch the younger ones, train them, and imbibe in them the spirit of patriotism and the spirit of sacrifice and the courage to live and die by your convictions. And then the spirit of accountability. So that by the time they grow, you can define a cadre as somebody who is imbibed with these attributes. Whatever structure they find themselves in the proper party structure, doesn't matter. I stand here as a national chairman, but I'm a cadre. Nothing takes that thing away from me. There are a lot of people who are also cadres who function at various levels of the party. So if we focus on nurturing that spirit of cadreship in our party youth, it will not matter where they find themselves. They will always speak and behave as cadres of the party. And we are not the only party that does that. In the older parties, in the older democracies, it is practice. When you go to UK, they have young labor, and they groom people from the universities, from the other tertiary institutions, and groom them in what the party stands for and so on. And when there is Congress, they are allowed space to also participate fully. So by the time they finish school, they are already prepared as leaders, as the next generation of leaders. So it can be done. It's done in China, it's done in South Africa with ANC and all major old parties in the older democracies. So it can be done. Before I proceed, I just want to add, I think the last part of the Jiwa story has not been told by anybody who came to speak. The last part of Jiwa's story happened in Brong-Ahafo. And I can see some of our strong BA caders who have traveled all along to join us on this day. You know, when the Jiwa attempt was foiled, some of them, I think Jiwa and Malik vanished. And there were stories about their appearances at certain places, and when they are seen, they vanish. They were considered to be so spiritually powerful. So, as a country, we continue to be tormented by Jiwa, the ghost of Jiwa, Malik, and I think Suleimana or somebody. Adabugas and the others. But the part of the story that ended in Brong-Ahafo then was that, you know, the government in Côte d'Ivoire at that time was so much against our revolution. And so the anti-revolutionary forces had very serious cooperation with the authorities in Côte d'Ivoire. So when the attempt here failed, they decided to penetrate through Côte d'Ivoire. Then on one fateful day, they came under the guise of cocoa smugglers or something. They entered through Drobo, came in a taxi with some equipment which when they deploy can jam Radio Ghana, and you will be listening to only what they will be broadcasting from their suitcase. So when they were crossing the border to Ghana, they were apprehended as if they were smugglers also, and locked up at a border post. Those days we had the regular military, and then we have a unit called the border guards. And there was this popular border guard officer who was seen to be very cooperative with cocoa smugglers. So his mantra always is that cocoa scab akufoni. So he came to be known all over the place as cocoa scab. So you chop some, I chop some. So when Jiwa and I think Malik also were apprehended and locked up in cells, they pretended that they wanted to attend nature's call, and Kokoska was on duty. So he tried to open the door for them to go out, to be escorted to a place where they can free themselves. Unknown to him, they had been put in the cell when they were still having knives on them, on their bodies. So immediately they opened. They used some pan. I'm told, I haven't been in cells before, but I'm told there's some pan where you can wee it. So when they opened, they took the pan and covered the head of Kokoska, and then used their knives to stab him, and he died instantly. So Jiwa and his friends escaped. When the announcement came out that some cocoa smugglers have killed Kokoska, it was very big news. The whole community was mobilized because Kokoska was very popular. Why should smugglers come to eliminate Kokoska? So the thought about Jiwa or anti-revolutionary had not come in at all. So the communities were around Drobo, Jama area were mobilized. Information was sent around for them to look for those who killed Kokoska. Now, Jiwa's group, unfortunately for them, or because of our spirits, Côte d'Ivoire was just close. But they will go around, they don't cross the border, and they are still within Ghana. And then there was a heavy rain which drenched them in the night, so they got soaked. So in the morning of the following day, they appeared in one village called Kokosia, around the border, like people who had gotten lost and they needed help. So they appeared and asked that they be given warm water to have their bath and change their clothes and so on. So all that was provided. And the people of Kokosia, because there was no mobile phones and things like that, they had no idea at all even about the death of Kokoska. So they assisted these guys. And when they finished, they asked about how they could get to Sampa. And there was only one mummy truck at that time, so they just joined it and left, heading towards Sampa. Meanwhile, Kokosia is just a mile away from Côte d'Ivoire. They could have just entered and gone away. But they chose to join the mummy truck that took them inside Ghana and then to Drobo area, Adamsu, back to Sampa before they crossed. So when they crossed the Adamsu barrier, because of cocoa smuggling, there were several barriers. So immediately they crossed Adamsu barrier. Then the police and border guards there heard the news that some people had killed Kokoska. And the search party had heard the story about some 3 guys who wandered in the bush and came to Kokosia drenched in rain, and they were assisted. So they are suspected to be those who killed Kokoska. Then the police said, oh, we just cleared this truck which came from Kokosia. So it's likely that they are on board the truck. Then the caders in the community were alerted and they mobilized to chase that mummy truck. Thank God our roads were not good at that time. So So they were running and chasing the truck. They were led by Comrade Atabediako. He just died 2 years ago. May his soul rest in peace. And when they were closing on the truck, Jiwa and the two others jumped out of the truck and started running into the bush. So the caders continued to chase them. And I think Jiwa had his leg injured because of the jump or something. But the cadets continued chasing. All the community search party members had left, but the cadets continued. And then they finally arrested them. So when the three were arrested, the cadets decided to remove their shirts and other things. And then they saw the whole body covered with amulets. So they were scared. Then Jiwa asked, "Do you know me?" "I am Corporal Halidu Jiwa." So it was only at that point that even the cadets knew they were fighting the anti-revolutionaries. So it became a double game. They thought they were fighting criminals, ordinary criminals, but they have now turned to be the ones who have arrested Jiwa and his accomplices. So they were quickly taken back to Drobo and then dispatched with a helicopter to 3rd Battalion Sunyani. They pleaded to be sent to Accra. So they were sent to Accra. I didn't follow them. So that is the end of the Jiwa story. What's the last chapter of the Bible? After Revelation, what happened? They were neutralized. So that was how the Jiwa story ended. And so, the lessons we must take, even as we are trying to reset the country, is that believe in the right cause. And when you believe in the right cause, you must stand firm and be prepared to live by your utterances, what you believe in. And if you have to die but what you believe in, prepare to die, because you will die anyway. So it is good to die for the right cause. Otherwise, you may end up dying for the wrong cause. Also, put your nation first. Those who were chasing Jiwa and Co, they were not related to the Koko scammer. It was just about hunting down criminals in a community. And they succeeded in neutralizing Jiwa to save the process. And also, don't think that we have come to the end of the process. We are still in the process. So there will continue to be survivors. There will continue to be heroes and heroines. It is the nature of the process that has changed. Today, we also have our modern day heroes and heroines. There are several people who were injured at Ayawaso because they stood for the right cause. There are people who resisted cheating in Techimai South. Some died, some were injured, but they are equally heroes of the process. So don't think that because you were not born at that time, you can also not be a hero of the process. Today, if you stand firm and defend Mother Ghana, defend NDC, you can also be a hero. So, as has been said, I am engaged in another activity somewhere at the local government training school. We are now doing orientation for the MMDCs. That's why I have to speak first and leave for the others to continue. But I want to remind you of the announcements we made on June 4th in Krobodumase. First, we've recognized that many of our anniversaries fall within the month of June. We have June 4th, we have June 10th, we have June 19th. We propose to celebrate June 22nd, which falls on Sunday, here at this very same. So we've taken the decision that the month of June be named as the NDC month, so that we'll do all our celebrations and major activities in June. Why 22nd June? 22nd June is the birth date of the founder of the party, Flight Lieutenant Zanetor Rollins. So we are going to begin celebrating Jerry Rollins' birthday as one of the holidays, important days on our party calendar, beginning this year. Because of the Homo War, many of our celebrations have been low-key. Be that as it may, we need to begin the celebration, and in subsequent years, we will direct that these events be commemorated in all our branches countrywide. We have also decided at FEC, which decision is yet to be presented to the National Executive Committee. And I know the signals I'm getting is that we have almost had an advance approval that this building be renamed Jerry Rollins House. And then we have also decided to contribute to rehabilitate the Revolutionary Square. So I'm sure the UCF chairman has already kick-started a process. We are not very clear how to approach it, because there have been court rulings that June 4th cannot be celebrated on the public purse. But we have maintained that June 4th is an NDC day, and we continue celebrating it from our own resources. So the Revolutionary Square we need to engage the various authorities, maybe museums and monuments authority and other things, to give us permission to rehabilitate the Revolutionary Square and keep it in good shape, because it is part of our history. It is an important monument that reminds us about an important part of the history of Ghana and of our democracy. Comrades, I want to end here and wish you all. Okay, Akua has reminded me about the welfare matter. 10 years ago, I proposed a Heroes Fund. We actually started somewhere along the line. We did not get the cooperation of the whole party, so the Heroes Fund fizzled into insignificance. What Akua was saying reminds me about the objectives of setting up the Heroes Fund at that time. Because where we are now, if we are in government, it is difficult to deploy the resources of the state for the upkeep of our cadres. So we need to think outside the box to find out how else we can do it. And that was why we established the Heroes Fund. We did not enjoy the cooperation of everybody on board. But as the days and years passed by, the idea of a Heroes Fund becomes even more relevant. Because if we have a Heroes Fund, we can do so many things about dealing with the medication of our comrades who have struggled for the process, dealing with the children of people who have fallen in the line of duty. And I believe that that is one of the most powerful ways of growing NDC. Because if you are growing a party, you can't force people to join your party. You can only make the party appealing. And if my father fought and died for a process, and because of that, his children, education and other things suffered. If you are living in the same community with other people whose father lived and took care of their education, and those group of children grow up and they ask them which party would they want to join, they will certainly not join NDC. So it is our duty to make the party appealing. Our cadres, you are all living in the communities. Because we were taught not to focus on amassing wealth. And the perception of the younger generation is now different. Many of you have become laughing stocks in your communities. So if your father is a laughing stock in his community, and you want to look for a party to join, would you come to join the party which made your father a laughing stock? That is why we must focus on making our party attractive, so that people will be proud that they had a role to play at a point in time in bringing the process this far. And that is why I strongly believe recognition may be even more important than material gains. And so That's why I still believe that the various actors who have very important stories to tell, if we get these stories recorded, that will be one way of making them live even after their death. And then their children and great-grandchildren will be proud that their grandparents contributed something towards the development of this nation. So as Comrade Nketia has also added her voice, when things settle, we will revisit the idea of the Heroes Fund, try and build it up for it to offer some welfare services of our comrades who have suffered for this process. I thank you very much. Aluta! Aluta! Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Please, we are almost done. Let's take some few minutes. Don't make any mistake. I'm not part of the survivors. I am just here to give some brief announcements for our benefit. First of all, let me thank all of you for being part of the June month. This year's has been very successful. From 4th on at Probodumase on the 10th year, today on the 19th, and we have one more to go. The last celebration, as our national chairman said, will be on 22nd. That is this very Sunday. Because it is falling on a Sunday, we are starting the program at 2, so that those who will go to church can go to church. We'll close and then be here at 2 o'clock for us to mark this day. It will be our first. It will be our first, and we want it to be very significant so that we will pick it all from there. And then again,